Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another 1v1 Age of Empires 4, another top 100 ELO leaderboard battle, as we have got MarineLorD, a known and quite skilled Starcraft 2 pro player, versus Aussie Drongo, a high-ranking Age of Empires player who also creates content on YouTube. I know he's been on the grind pretty well, so shout out to him. But we have got an interesting one. We've got England versus China between these top high-level players, both in the top 100 on the leaderboards right now. So let's get underway and see how this one's going to play out. So yeah, of course, you've got MarineLorD. He is playing as England, and Aussie Drongo will be your Chinaman for this game. And we'll have to see how this plays out. I haven't been watching too much China at the moment. I feel like not that many people have been opting into it. I feel like a lot of people have been on the Mongol, England, what are the other pop? France. Not much Russ, surprisingly. I think outside Tato, I haven't seen many people going for Russ. But definitely loads of people have been playing England. MarineLorD, I can kind of understand this, why he maybe likes England as well. Because I believe MarineLorD was I think he was a Terran player, right? Would kind of make sense given the name. And I would say England is one of the sides that kind of slots into what I'd say Terran is, which, you know, early on, you have a lot of strategies that rely a little bit more on turtling, being a bit more defensive to prep for like a power spike timing. And to me, England is like, they can do some early harassment, but they're not a cavalry class nation, right? It's not like if you play civs such as the Mongols or even like Rus and France, where you can get access to these early like knights or these early amount of troops and do some serious harassment damage. While you can move forward with a small army early on because of your tech up with the landmark that allows you to build longbowmen, I don't feel like it's as decisive of a moment, right, if you play into that early game, because you have to run across the entire map to do something. Of course, the difference is once you do arrive, you can be more definitive if you have a clear advantage in that you can, you know, quickly build into rams and just try and bring down buildings, something that the knight spamming doesn't actually allow for. Knight spamming is more about completely poking and prodding out someone's eco so that you can come back later and finish them off or just have an eco advantage yourself. So let's see what the opening for Aussie is so far. A lot of villages on food. Maybe more than I would have expected. Yeah, you can see a little bit more diversification coming out of his opponent. But I guess the difference is he can get access to an Imperial official if he really wants, right? But there is one more worker on gold for England, and he's already got a wood line going. There's finally going to be a wood line coming out from Aussie, but it seems like he dedicates a bit more to food early on as opposed to switching over to the wood. It's kind of interesting. I feel like a lot of the high-level players I've been seeing, I think the average, there's a higher amount of people putting 2 or 3 people on wood fairly early, just so they have enough for a quick building to get some mill units out maybe. And the weird part is in this game, it's the person who doesn't have like a tech up build that lets him build units is the one that didn't have people on wood immediately. Then again, I guess you could argue there's even more value there for MarineLorD, right? Because by having people on wood early, he's going to get access to that wood supply to build more longbowmen. But that's changed now. Look how many people Aussie runs over under the wood supply. What? Okay, that's a complete crazy switch around. He's building a defensive structure. Not too surprised by this. This is the mini keep that you can build in Age 2 for China. So who have defense on the front. And this will also protect any expansion up towards the berry bush and the deer. This is like double whammy value right now. I imagine Drongo, he's probably saying, yes, yes. Oh, just going to stick a mill in the middle of this, and it's going to be heaven because, of course, he's going to get some efficient value out of that while also protecting his wood line that's been established. So really nice placement, really nice spawn coming out for Drongo. On the other side, I'm trying to think if there's really as beneficial of a spawn area. I think if you are MarineLorD, obviously with your tech free, you could maybe try and town center in the center of the map, depending on, to be a true town center, depending on what your opponent's activities are. But of course, that's the type of player that needs ample defense to achieve. Whereas obviously walking further forward and making like a keep in these straight points might also be an option. Neither side really interested in walling this early. Not really surprising. Like I said, I don't see either of these nations as an uber rush nation. So you don't have this concern that there's going to be cavalry flanking you around all the time. But Drongo almost complete on the tech up. And now I want to see this interesting point to me that happens with China players. And no one has really settled on what is the definitive right move right now. Is whether you then tech free or whether you go back for this secondary tech 2. Reason being, And I think the difference is also whether you want to be able to another TC or not, is if you stay and go for the second Tech 2, you get access to quicker villager production. I believe it's 35% quicker for hitting the Song Dynasty. Alternatively, for a similar amount of effort, you could argue for a second town center. Second town center, doing the maths in that situation, is more efficient from a villager building perspective once it's constructed. I think the deciding factor in my mind, by the way, comes down to whether you have an efficient layout to utilize the alternative Tech 2 landmark, the one that gives bonus gold generation to buildings in range of it. But I feel like a lot of people will eventually look to utilize that to some degree. It's not something they play directly around, at least what I've been seeing so far. It's not the focal point of what these Chinese players are doing. MarineLorD, on the other hand, he's already going for the second town center. We were just talking about whether you want to tech up wide or loose, but look at this. Drongo's already ahead. He's almost completed this town center. He sent more workers, and I believe he was out there a little bit quicker. So both had similar goals in mind, but Drongo will achieve his first. And it is pretty much mirrored in terms of their placement as well. So there's going to be wrap from each side. Eventually, of course, you're going to converge towards the center where there is just so much valuable resources. In fact, you kind of have to go there fairly quickly because of the gold layouts. I will say that this map generation is definitely in MarineLorD's favor, though. Look at the gold placements. This is actually nuts to me. Like, yeah, it's on the hill a bit, but he hasn't got cliffs to worry about, choke points, whatever. Like, he has clear access, and he can then choke point further forward into the center of the map. Of course, over here, it's a bit more pesky, but you can at least secure 2 of these gold veins super close to your starting point. I almost just feel bad for Drongo because, obviously, he's starting... I mean, he's got a second goal back here, but I don't know. It feels a little bit more directed, shall we say, from MarineLorD, where he can have this cluster between his 2 town centers that's probably easier to protect. But that won't write Drongo out. I think Drongo, he should be able to start to kind of inflate his worker count a lot quicker, especially if he now opts to go back to the Tech 2, which he very well might. Like, having 2 town centers and then also having that landmark advantage, you could eco boom up to, 70 workers when your opponent's maybe closer to 55, I want to say. Okay, maybe is that an over-exaggeration? I'm not sure. I think you could easily at that stage get, if you start to build it now at least, get a 10 villager advantage. By the time you get to 70, that is. But so far, no military interest. The other is, though, Imperial Academy is going up, so we were right. He is going to go back for it. I like this move. I think the only tech up that is super worth and you should definitely get your hands on it dynasty-wise is the first one. The other ones can potentially wait a little bit longer. You don't necessarily have to go age 3 and then wait age 3 to do both. But I think age 2, because of the price of it and the value of the Song Dynasty booster producing villages quicker, it's just a do or die. It's a must. I don't think you can ignore it at all. Neglect it at your own peril. Third TC going up for MarineLorD, by the way. And this is kind of interesting as well, because the kind of structure layout here, and because of the way Aussie Drongo stopped grabbing stone once he had his second TC and went back for this Imperial Academy instead, he's going to be behind on TC count. But keep in mind, because he now has that 35% production rate improvement to his civvies, he's actually kind of even. 2 TCs with the Song Dynasty buff, I think is pretty much even to 3 TCs, yeah. There might be a very slight advantage to 3 TCs. But of course, you have to weigh up in your early game, putting those extra people in stone, the price elsewhere is felt sort of thing, right? But yeah, no interest in military from either side. I say that, there's now a few longbowmen coming out, so finally MarineLorD will start to produce some longbow. Probably identifying if he hasn't had any kind of probing, any initiation upon him, it's likely that Aussie is full eco and hasn't actually protected himself with military yet. And he'd be right. Aussie doesn't even have a military building. Nothing at all, in fact. So if you actually get the high ground, you should have vision advantage, and I'm going to actually stick on Aussie Drongo's vision here. Look at that. Wow. So if you play this right, you can get close enough to harass him. But straight away, I love this. Imperial Palace being built, so they won't be actually harvesting right now, so you can't fully exploit this. And MarineLorD's going to look the other way anyway. From that high ground, though, he could have easily longbowed 2 or 3, and they wouldn't have even known until they were dead. Yeah. Quick tech free. I believe MarineLorD doesn't even have his tech free underway. No. In fact, Has he fully invested all of his... Yeah, all of his food is just going straight into Villy still. So Drongo is going to hit Castle Age, and MarineLorD is nowhere near ready to go up just yet. In fact, he's continuing to invest in Longbowman. Aussie's played a really greedy style of Age of Empires, but because of the layout of his buildings, he's well protected to do this. And knowing that he's up against an English player, and he hasn't seen any longbow activity yet, he's probably assuming that if he is building into Longbowman, it's a late starting time or starting to spam them. So there's probably not going to be any early battering ram rush, and he'd be actually 100% right. Because I don't know how much of this he's scouted recently, but MarineLorD doesn't even have a blacksmith, so he can't even get access to the battering rams yet. He's just full in on a bunch of longbow. And I think he's not even committed to this now. He's just going to back off. Probably a good idea as well, because it looks like Drongo, because of these tech timings, he's already reached the Lancers and he's starting to spam them out. Oh, this is so effective the way he's done this, actually. Really well played. So he's got the tech advantage. He's now going to have the military advantage. He's going to have the fighting advantage by having a blacksmith. Yeah, you can already see MarineLorD is now finally starting to build a blacksmith, but I hope he's not thinking of going for battering ram tech. I just don't think it's worth it now. I think you might be just forced to well, essentially, you just have to go into hunker down mode, right? You have to defend. The problem is, like, this type of map is quite open, so turtling might be problematic. And here come the Lancers. That will immediately force them all in, right? Right? Or some of them will get in, but a lot of them can't. Because there's a secondary town center. They can't all actually get inside and garrison, so he's going to lose a decent amount of villies here. Or not. Looks like Drongo doesn't want to sacrifice them. He will probably still at least lose one if the aggro switches. Longbowmen do deter him, but this is the risky part when you have this many villages over at a secondary TC. Only 10 of them are protected. So you better make sure that you are buffered against any assault that comes your way. And Drongo, will he continue the Lancer production? Or will he cut it there and just maybe look to tech more? Because this is the thing, right? Like, I think if you're Drongo, you feel pretty good about this. You got eyes on. You see the Longbow army. You see he hasn't teched up the 3 yet. You have to feel like you are in full eco control right now. Like, you could actually stop building Lancers and go tech 4. And then just overwhelm him with quality over quantity, right? That's not to say you shouldn't continue harassing with Lancers where you can, however. And he is actually sneaking into the main base. MarineLorD's moved his units back to center, though, so this is going to be spotted and countered instantly. Lancers move in. Arrows coming out. It takes a while to burn through them, and there is going to be a few villies falling here. That's 2 so far. Can't quite snipe the 3rd, and doesn't want to hang around to deal with the Longbowman. Not with just 3 Lancers. In fact, he might lose 1 more. Nope, there it is. They get him. The pathing on the gold mine. Screwed over Drongo a bit. He'll get 2 of them out of there. He does have a 3rd one now heading back over that Villy line. And maybe the idea here is to try to bait them out and just keep them away. But with 1 Lancer, you wouldn't really do enough damage for this to be worthwhile anyway. Eco-wise, MarineLorD, he has actually got enough now to tech up. Where has the food and gold really been going from Drongo, though? I'm not sure on that one, actually. He must be teching. So, yeah, he's bringing out more Lancers now. There's a few more Lancers that justifies some of the gold and food cost. But I feel like there's something else we're not seeing here. No, he grabbed... Yeah, so he did grab the range resistance. A good shout there, considering all the damage coming your way right now is ranged. But we can already see the tech up is now coming from MarineLorD. He's putting down a King's Palace as well. He's making another TC. This is crazy. This is 4 TCs. And he is actually getting the racks out, so he's looking to get some melee involved in the fights. He's going to counter with spears, probably. But yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 town centers. And I believe Drongo stopped at 2. Yeah. So he hasn't expanded to a 3rd TC at all. And we said, you do get better value with the Song Dynasty villager production speed, but if we look at it right now, eco up to 77 for MarineLorD, and Drongo now starting to fall a little bit behind at 74. Keep in mind, Drongo has been the one sniping out a few villages here or there, but MarineLorD will be able to boost his count almost in the blink of an eye to 100. And that will give him ample eco, really, to start spamming out an early army of spears, and then maybe move up to the mid-ground, possibly even think about building battering rams, so that he can start to kind of counter and move through these building lines that Drongo has established. Tech-wise, so no melee resistance coming out. He has got the ranged buff to damage. No surprise there from MarineLorD. With this many archers, you definitely should be getting that. But yeah, that's the town center we were talking about. Plenty of gold's going to be going into the coffers of MarineLorD. And this, I think he's ahead now. No, Drongo. Okay, Drongo is keeping it hot. but he's catching... MarineLorD is definitely catching up on gold income. This new income line is exposed right now from Drongo. It would be nice to see him put down an outpost or wall or something just to protect himself, because if MarineLorD does come through this area, these miners are very far up and very unprotected. Looks like he's moving up the Lancers to counter that problem right now. And he has got 13 Lancers. Not many Spearmen so far coming out from MarineLorD. A bit stunned. He didn't get enough out because he continued with the villager spam. So 32 Archers, they do not want to get caught out like this though. 13 Lancers will just plow through this army quickly. You just don't have enough Spearmen yet. I think he's up to 5. Preferably, I'd say you want like 15 Spearmen. And that shouldn't take him too long. He's got 3 racks working on it. And because he's teched up, he's actually going for the balanced projectiles first. I would love to see Military Academy just so he can mass clump forces quick. But in fairness, with the way that he's quickly just booming on the economy and the way his pop count is going, he might feel like it's the value further down the line once an army gets wiped. But for now, quality over quantity, as we talked about before. Something that Drongo is fully aware of. And he's wrapping. This is an exposed eco. Whoa, this is a really exposed eco. That's 32. 32 workers, only room for 15 to garrison close by. So if Drongo pushes through this, it would be really good. The problem is he knows he's got eyeballs on him because of the outpost. So he doesn't feel confident pushing in just yet. And he has to worry about the center push as well, because you can already see there's a move up coming. 8 Spearmen, 34 Archers. If Drongo plays this right, he'll get around the back of the Archers, and I don't think there's enough Spearmen to counter him here. In fact, the Spearmen have moved forward and away. And here they come. And he's running the Archers towards him. Drongo going to be forced to engage, but decides against it. Backs off here, scared about the number of Archers just plowing into him. Even with 6 range resistance, he just doesn't feel like he has the numbers on his side. And he might be right in that situation. I reckon by the time you reach their line, you've lost maybe 3 of your Lancers. Feeling forced to engage. Lost a few Villies. Most of them got away from the gold line for Drongo. But that does mean that this gold expansion is going to be scouted out and burnt down. And that means that from an eco perspective, Drongo might start to fall behind, because remember, he's only got these 2 gold veins in the back of his base. It'll keep him good for a few K, but he needs to use that few thousand and make a move, because it's looking like MarineLorD at this rate is going to take full control of the center. He already has access to so many of these gold veins. And as he moves up into the center area with an army this big, he could even move up a few villages and start to secure the area fully. And in fact, he's actually going for the sacred site. He built a priest. Remember, this is the only one on this map. It's just King of the Hill. And with an army this big, Drongo can't contest him just yet. He needs more Lancers. Also, keep in mind that MarineLorD is going to get more gold because these sacred sites trickle, I believe it's 100 gold per minute. Not bad. Not bad. And there is the farm expansion. MarineLorD, of course, farm economy is very easy for England to just expand into. Farms cost half the amount, and then, of course, you can prep yourself for a situation where in Imp Age, you can palisade around them so they generate gold as well. Not that he's going to need it, because he has control of practically all the gold mines in the world right now. I think he needs to just put on a Monopoly hat at this stage. Scout is wrapping around the back, so he'll probably get eyes on the operation here and see what Drongo is all about. Current resource-wise, you can see what we're talking about. Drongo is suffering on the gold front. I think it's because he's been spending a decent amount of it. But MarineLorD, if he wants, he could just like boom in food now and go Imp Age before Drongo can even catch up. And there's enough spears here to delay these Lancers that if he gets in a direct fight right now with England, he will be behind. In fact, Drongo, is he going to go for the wrap? I don't know if it's worth it, because I think the trade's going to be bad for you, considering that the MarineLorD is already in position and building battering rams. Here come the Lancers. Spearmen are sleeping. They're wrapping around the back. They're actually going to cut off the retreat. The problem is that might just allow Drongo to plow through. He's going to go straight in for the range line. Leave a few of them to keep him busy and then chase through the rest. He's got the Nest of Beasts now, so the Spearmen are not going to last long at this rate. And he's keeping a small contingent of cavalry on the Spearmen so the primary group of horsemen can chase down the Archers. But this micro is working out really well. More Spearmen coming in as well. There's too many longbow, and it looks like Drongo might just lose this army. The Nest of Beasts did not get max splash effect. They could not reach the longbowmen. And now Drongo looks like he might be in some trouble. He has to back up. He's lost plenty of horsemen so far and got barely any value out of it. Yes, you know, your cavalry most definitely are meant to counter longbow, but in this quantity, you're not seeing it at all. Nest of Beasts are getting some spread attacks out now, but the Spearmen are straight in. They're getting rid of the Nest of Beasts. The final one is going to fall, and with no horsemen left, this just might be GG. Drongo has nothing in the chamber, nothing in the game. MarineLorD just showing what Starcraft power is made of.